Hi, and welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to add a few more inputs into our input area so that we can update some elements and element content. So let's add in another input, and this input is going to be background color of the element. We're going to also adjust the style properties of the element. So background, I'm just going to do some simple text here in order to indicate what this field is going to be for. So this type, and I'm going to use HTML5. So using the color selector, and we can call this background, BG. And I'll add in another line break and create another input. And this input is also a color, and this is going to be the text color. So it's going to update the color value of the field, of the input. And I'll move the submit button to the bottom. So we're still going to be using that main div on our screen, and we're going to be updating it dynamically with JavaScript. And the way that we want to do that is we want to still add in that button. So whenever that submit gets pressed, and I'm going to update some of the values here contained within the HTML. So just call this update. And this is no longer going to be a first name. This is going to be output. And then as we update it, we got to make sure that we're updating the corresponding values in JavaScript as well, so that we're still able to make those element selections. So now we've got a little bit more content available to us, and just double check that we're still getting that same input. So that one is still connected, and we're going to update the contents whenever we're updating and making the click. So we've got all of this information. We can get rid of it because we already know which element we're making the update to. So if we were to take the element, so this represents the selected element, and this is the only div that we have on the page. So if we output, and I'll just clear this up. So if we have our selected element, so just as we can select the element, we can also update its style. We can update its background. I'll make this bigger. We can update its background properties as well as its text properties. And Chrome is giving me the drop-down option here, so we can set the background color. And if we want to set it to blue, all we have to do is equal it to blue. And you can see it updates immediately within the DOM. You can also update the text color, so the same way, updating the style attribute. And in this case, we're going to update the color value. So that's going to represent the font color. So if we wanted to update it to white, we could update it to white. And there's a ton of different options that you can see when you're selecting style. And even in Chrome, there's a lot of options and drop downs. So you can update your background colors, you can repeat it, you can update your border. And just as you would with any of the CSS, you've got all of these options. You can do column widths, and there's just really pretty much anything you do with styling you can do here within JavaScript. You can also update the padding if you want. So setting all of the padding to 5 pixels, and that gave us more padding. So now when we go back to the element, you can see that within the element itself, we've updated the style property. So we've given a background color of blue, we've given a color of white, padding of 5 pixels, and now that's present. So just as we were updating the inner text, we can also update these color values. So let's go ahead and make those updates. So selecting those input values, so we need to also select those inputs. So this one will be select background, and we're selecting the element with the name of background, the input with the name of background. And we're also selecting the element with, so we can call this one text and the name of text, so that we know what we're referencing. And within the console, let's output the value that's contained within the background. And we'll also output the value that's contained within the text, the SC text, and outputting the value of that object. So just as we did with the input, where we've got the text value contained within the input, we're going to retrieve back these color values. So these are HTML5, and this gives us an automatic color picker that we can use in order to update colors. So let's do that, and we'll try that out. So we can set a different color here. You can also set a default color if you want. And then now when I press update, you're going to see that we're outputting the background color, and we're also updating that text color. So if we want to update that and we want to update it to blue, we can update it that way. And now when we do update, you're going to see that the new color values are present within those inputs. So now it's a matter of, just as we saw here, where we can get that element. So we select the element and apply its style properties. So using the style method, and the value that we want to update is the background color. So selecting the object properly, we need to just simply apply the value of SE background. So that's that input value, and we're applying the background color to that. And we're also going to do the same thing for text. So updating, in this case, it's not background color, it's just going to be color. And we're updating it to whatever the values contained within here. And I'm also going to set some defaults here. So I'll set a default value of, we'll use a hexadecimal var, so that's black. And actually, let's change this to white, because the default value is white and this is black. So see that we've got white, so we can make an update and update the text color. And as soon as we update it, you see that that value of that input updates as well. And this is all done via JavaScript. And then you can set these colors to whatever you want. And every time you press update, you're going to see that it is actually updating the element style attribute values. So go ahead and add this into your project, try it out, and coming up, we're going to extend on this functionality. We're going to extend on the functionality.